We'll start with some sleeper teams. Who are some teams maybe that didn't make the list, but you should know about?
I like you, man, because I was like I need to get this top five in order. But there's a lot of teams out there that I feel like are sleepers, and I mean, I really get into it. As far as overall classification, I'll start with this. Jackson Aggie football is a 4A program. They have a kid named Landon Duckworth that he was a South Carolina commit. He decommitted. He's a Power Five kid. They've beat two 7A programs. So 7A is the largest classification in the state of Alabama. So for a 4A program, which is the third or the fourth smallest in the state, to beat a 7A program, they just beat Baker. That is a pretty good program. Should go to the playoffs in that region, and they beat them 20-13. They beat another team, Fairhope, in the spring jamboree, pretty decisively as well. So their season got cut short last year. They had aspiring hopes to win a 4A state title last year. They are the clear-cut favorites, and not just in 4A, but they can potentially compete in higher classifications. So there are a sleeper team that most your national audience might not know about that team. They might know about Landon, even Xavier Crowell, which is a 4 or 5 star running back as well. So they have a lot of guys that are 4 stars or higher. Demarion Gordon, which is a UCF commit. They got plenty of guys that are going to be next level type guys. So that's probably my premier sleeper team, just because they won't make this list just because of sheer numbers. Because I don't think they will beat like a Saraland or a Parker, because they didn't beat Saraland. They actually lost to Saraland by less than a score, I believe. So if I can go back and check that one real quick. But that team is a definitely a team that I would say is a premier sleeper team, because you won't hear about that team in the state of Georgia or North Carolina or Texas or anything. You'll hear about Central Phoenix. You'll hear about Auburn. You'll hear about Hoover. You'll hear about Thompson. You know what I'm saying? But you won't hear about Jackson Aggie football. So I will give my head nod to those guys and that style of football, because they're going to be legit. Another program that I will give out here is Hoover. Hoover has done it might sound a little funny, but Hoover has done a tremendous job with being competitive this year. If you don't know, they lost their head coach due to some, you know what I'm saying, some on the field activities. So it was kind of, a little rough start to the season, but ultimately those guys have competed to the highest degree. They beat a team on the road in Florida.
Yeah, Western.
Yeah, they beat a team on the road to Florida, like you said, Ben. And really, that was kind of like the set the tone type of game. Had a punt return and then set up kind of like the field goal to win it. So Hoover has this one QB that I've known for a while, and this leads me right into my sleeper players. Mac Beeson, class 2025 quarterback. He's been doing a tremendous job. Transferred in this past year to be the starting quarterback for Hoover. And man, he's taking this program with stride with everything that's been going on. I'm very happy and proud the way that he's led this program, because last year they had some issues at the quarterback position too. Jonah Winston had to step in at quarterback last year, and they got bounced second round. So I mean, this time they still use Jonah in like a wildcat type system, because he scored the 1 yard touchdown to kind of get them back in the game, because they only beat Hewitt Trustville, which is another good program in that region, only 8-7 in the rain. So I mean, it was a tightly contested game. I actually had Hewitt winning that game because of just all the things that's been going on at Hoover. But overall, I'm very proud of this Hoover group, because Hoover is not just a statewide brand, but it's a national brand.
Yep.
So they do things to the nth degree, and just that quarterback Mac Beeson, class 2025 guy, to lead that group along with a couple other guys on the offensive side of the ball. And the trench work honestly has been a key factor in their wins, because they've been getting a lot of push up front, and that's a testament to how they do in 7A ball. So Hoover's a sleeper team. I think they can really compete for a 7A state title, They play Thompson later on this season, later on in October. So we'll see. I don't think that region is the best region. I'll get into that when we get into the top 5 teams and why I feel like that. But Hoover is definitely a sleeper team.
All right, Mark, it's about that time. Let's get CJ in a little trouble here. Let's go. Let's hear it. Let's start at the top. Let's go to 5 and then work our way down. So let's put you on the spot here. Top 5 teams in Alabama. Who you got?
All right, so you want me to start bottom at the 5 and then work my way up?
Yeah.
All right, so this is probably gonna give me some trouble right off the bat. I have Saraland at 5. So if you don't know, Saraland just won 6A, or they just lost to Clay Chalkville, 6A state title. So obviously Ryan Williams is not there. The 17, we keep hearing on college football all the time. The 17-year-old does this. The 17-year-old does this. He's that special of a player, of course. But they do have other guys. CD Gill, kind of like a slot guy, number 2 guy, really good guy. I think that's honestly KJ Lacey's right-hand man in this whole operation as far as like trying to get back to a state title. Dylan Alfred, the Ole Miss 4-star commit. He's a good player. I think he did pretty good this past game. And then, of course, KJ Lacey, the Texas commit. So, I mean, those guys are a trio, not to mention Sante McWilliams, the running back that doesn't get enough love, junior actually. He's about 5'9", 5'10", but he's a bowling ball, man. He's hard to bring down. When they beat Mountain Brook 2 years ago in the state title, I feel like he was one of the key factors in that game outside of your normal KJ Lacey and Ryan Williams. So they're my number 5. Number 4, I would say Parker. They're a 6A program as well. So I think Parker is a little bit better than Saraland right now. We'll see how it goes. If you don't know, Naeem Offord is one of the best pure athletes. He's going to be a corner at the next level, but pure athletes in the nation. So he's been doing this thing along with Timothy Merritt, which is kind of, he's played corner a little bit, and he's moved in at quarterback due to injury of the quarterback right now. I have to get into that a little bit later. But overall, I think this Parker group has an elite level defense that can really stop anybody, the best of them, honestly, in 6 and 7A. They got Jordan Crawford, Auburn commit, and then they got Vodney Cleveland that transferred in from Prattville. That is a really good specimen. So you can just imagine you got Vince Wilfork, and then you got Gerald McCoy on the same football team. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. Like you have to go look up them guys. You know what I'm saying? So Vodney Cleveland, like I said, he's a class 2026 guy, and Jordan Crawford is class 2025. So those 2 guys are heavy in the trenches, and they have some speedsters. Chase Sparks is a running back that I feel like doesn't get enough love. He's the class 2026 guy, I believe. So he scored a touchdown in his latest game. And then they got a guy that I really like that's a bruiser of a running back, Terrence Gaines Jr. So they got different pieces to the puzzle to compete. So they're my number 4. They would kind of be that team that I would say are the favorites right now in the state of Alabama by a lot of people, not just myself. But I feel like until someone proves that they can stop them in the state, they're probably the favorites. Then we get up to our 7A classifications, where I feel like, these are the teams that are the best. Thompson, if you don't know Thompson, Trent Seaborn, I don't know what you're doing in high school football in general. The eighth grade phenomenon that won a state title back in 2021. That team has the only loss that they have is to Grayson, and we know Grayson is a powerhouse in the state of Georgia. That's the only loss. Everybody else, they kind of, did what they were supposed to do to them. That would be my number 3 team. The only thing I have with Thompson is I haven't seen really any type of explosive plays out of their receivers. For the last 2 seasons, they had a guy named Kobe Landrew, which moved to Georgia. He's more of a basketball player, so he moved to Georgia for a better opportunity. And then the year before that, they had Mr. Football, Ryan Peppins, which plays collegiate level ball now. But I don't feel like they have anybody that is going to be substantial enough to kind of compete with these other top 2 teams that are in different regions in 7A. So my number 2 team for right now, my number 2 team is Auburn. I really like Auburn this year. I think they're a really good team. They've dominated a lot of teams, a lot of good teams, to be honest with you. Enterprise is a good team. Yeah. They had Auburn commit Eric Winters that's been there for a long time. He's more of an athlete. He plays safety. And then they had Zion Grady, which is a defensive end. that is really good. Transfer from Charles Henderson, and just overall, that team was a statement win for Auburn, as well as Opelika. Opelika is a rivalry game, which I feel like Opelika has not made the playoffs. So if you, that's another sleeper team. I just throw that in there because I'm not probably going to talk about them. But Opelika is another sleeper team that in that region too, they can compete with anybody. And I feel like that is the best region in football. You have Central Phoenix, which is number one. I'll go ahead and tease that out there. But you got Central, you got Auburn, you got Opelika, and I believe you got Carver and Enterprise. That is five. That's 4 or 5 good teams that can make the playoffs, and only 4 can make it. So, and most of those teams are either undefeated or they got one loss, and the one loss is to that inner circle of teams that I just said. So it's going to be a tight race when it comes down. And like I said, my number one team is Central Phoenix. That's really in that's Enrico and Jeremy in them area.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they literally just won a 7A state title. They have one of the best receivers in the state, Dylan Upshaw, a quarterback that is really underrated. And overall, I just feel like this team, they have some defensive guys that are really, really good. But overall, it all funnels back to their coaching staff. Coach Nix is a wonderful coach. He's a great coach, and he really gets the best out of his guys. They got a lot of other guys on that staff that are really, really good. And so does Auburn, though. That's why I like that. I like that Auburn team. They got a coach named Coach Etheridge, and he actually comes from the kind of like the Oxford Calhoun County area, and he's coached in other areas too, but he's more known for Oxford. But that matchup between Central Phoenix and Auburn is going to be one to watch. I believe that Auburn. I think Auburn's, this is their year though. I'll give them that.